If you love hosting over the holidays, swap out your old HVAC filter with a Filtrete air filter. It can help clear away particles from all your holiday cooking. Look for Filtrete air filters at a retailer near you. Let's clear the air.
If your loved one is at risk of a fall, the Symphony Medical Alert System from CVS Health can help support their safety in their home with 24/7 emergency monitoring, even when you can't be there. Terms and conditions apply. Learn more about Symphony at cvs.com/symphony or find it at your nearest CVS Health Hub.
Welcome to the Vibe Within podcast. I'm your host, Gab Cohen. Each week, we will connect through stories and conversations about wellness, yoga, addictions, spirituality, mental health, rituals, and everything in between. The goal is to transform our traumas into strengths to create the change we desire in our lives. My mission is to help others by shining awareness on real-life topics so we can learn new ways to heal physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Whatever you are going through in this moment, you are not alone. So let's connect and heal our vibe within. Hello, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. I seriously cannot believe that it's Thanksgiving. I am recording this a couple days before Thanksgiving, obviously, because I am the biggest procrastinator, and if I wait until Thanksgiving to do it, I will not do it. So happy Thanksgiving to all, and if you are not celebrating Thanksgiving this year, happy You Day, because this is just another day, and since it is a holiday, it's a day to treat yourself wholly. It's a day to just submerge in self-care and rituals and doing things that make you feel good. I think this year is even more different than last year because people are so kind of used to being in a solitude energy, in this hermit energy. I mean, we've been in COVID and pandemic energy for almost 2 years, so I feel like a lot of the collective is just not feeling the holidays this year, and there's nothing wrong with that. I certainly have gotten used to celebrating Thanksgiving alone, usually like with my cat, and today is going to be a little solo Thanksgiving special episode. I'm going to share some fucked up memories that I have from Thanksgivings in the past, and I'm also going to talk about some mental health stuff. I have a lot of notes in front of me, and I titled this episode No More Suffering in Silence because that is what the collective is going through right now. A lot of us are suffering in silence. Mentally, we're going through a lot of changes emotionally. I feel like the Tower card is and has been just a perpetual energy of the last 2 years. And I'm not just talking about COVID. That's just one part of it. I'm talking about, changes with financial, how much income we're making, jobs, moving all of a sudden. I've moved so many times in the last 2 years that I am so fucking drained at this point that it's spiraled my mental health, it's spiraled my physical health. Right now I'm sipping on this, I don't want to call it tea, it's not tea, it's basically this spice, this herb that I got from this company called Banyan Botanicals, and they're going to be a new sponsor of the podcast. They sent me this spice, and you put it in warm water and you drink it, and it tastes like absolute fucking shit. And she warned me that it did taste like shit, so I'm not just, I'm allowed to say that. And the reason why I'm drinking it is because it's supposed to help with liver detoxification and Hashimoto's and autoimmune stuff. And, you know, at this point, it's like I'm willing to drink water or dirt herb concoctions that taste like absolute shit. You know, I'll do anything to feel better at this point. And, you know, I mean, that's not that bad because people drink ayahuasca and that's like, don't people say that tastes like absolute shit? And it's like they're drinking it to like meet the devil and like see the way they're gonna die or die and like come back to life. So this isn't that bad. This is just me doing what I have to do to feel better in my body, to treat, you know, the Hashimoto's with Ayurveda. And I'm a big supporter of Ayurveda. And I'm also a big supporter of taking medication. And, you know, I'm a big supporter of taking medication for mental health and for physical health. I used to be the kind of person that was like so against taking thyroid medicine, and I was just like, no, I'm gonna do it on my own, I'm gonna heal on my own, I'm not gonna take anything. And I've talked about this before on the podcast. I think that's, you know, I just got to the point where I'm like, I'm not willing to put my body through hell anymore. So I do take medication for my Hashimoto's and my thyroid, and I'm also thinking about seeing a psychiatrist soon to maybe talk about going on some kind of like antidepressant or something like that, because recently the last couple months have just been just really heavy for me. I mean, I'm not gonna like, you know, cry about it on my podcast right now, and I'm not trying to like have a pity party right now either, but I'm just trying to be open. And I feel like what you guys hear from me on this podcast is way more vulnerable than what the majority of my followers see on Instagram, because not all of them listen to the podcast. So when I record an episode of the pod, I am way more vulnerable. I share so much more information about what I'm going through emotionally and mentally. And so, yeah, September, October, and November have just been really fucking heavy for me. Lots of changes that are out of my control, lots of uncertainty, lots of I don't know where the fuck I'm gonna live in a couple months kind of energy, things that are completely out of my control. And when that kind of stuff happens, I start to go into my disordered eating and the depression and the anxiety, because those are things that you quote unquote can control, but like not really. And working out and, you know, just all these things that come up when you're dealing with, you know, problems and issues that come in, just like the Tower card, you know, like when you pull the Tower card is about surprise, and it's not always a good surprise. I mean, it can be, but for me at least, for the past 3 years of my life, being in my Saturn return, the Tower card has represented complete chaos, and just being able to flow with the chaos and being able to flow with the punches of the universe and, you know, things falling out of my life, you know, dealing with people who are challenging, or, you know, dealing with my own shit. Like I'm not a saint either. You know, I have a lot of anger, I have a lot of rage that I've been dealing with recently, and that has a lot to do with my depression. So if you are dealing with mental health issues right now, I really, I don't want to say I totally understand what you're going through, because your situation's different than mine, but I will say that therapy has helped me so much, and you all know that BetterHelp is a sponsor of this podcast, so I don't know where I'd be without my therapist from BetterHelp. She is so fucking cool. I have never had a therapist who I connected with so deeply, and she like really cares about me. She's helped me find a doctor, you know, who is a hormone and thyroid specialist. And I gotta be honest, if you're dealing with mental health issues and you haven't been to the doctor in a while, or you haven't got labs in a while, or you feel like something's off, especially if you're a woman, and you are dealing with period problems or hormonal problems, or you're not getting a period, or it's coming every 2 or 3 months, that is not normal at all. And so that's what I'm going through. And, you know, I know that there's male listeners on this podcast, and it's fine. You all have women in your life, whether it is a sister, a mother, an aunt, a friend, a coworker. You all have women in your life, and there's so many women who are dealing with hormonal imbalance, PCOS, endometriosis. I mean, symptoms and side effects just from taking birth control. So before I go into a tangent with that, I just wanted to say, if you are dealing with depression, anxiety, panic attacks, all these emotional and mental kind of waves of chaos, definitely go to the doctor. Get some labs, get your hormones checked. I mean, a lot of our mental health has to do with the physical, biological, chemical things that are happening in our bodies. And when things are imbalanced, like thyroid or hormones or your endocrine system or your digestion, it is a big deal. So you need to go get that stuff checked. So that's my spiel. Now, it is Thanksgiving, and whatever you are doing today, I just want you to, whether it's hanging out with family or whether you're alone, I just want you to treat this day as if it was any other day. You don't have to be a victim and be a prisoner of this Hallmark holiday that, makes society think you have to go hang out with friends and you have to go to a dinner and you have to go eat, the most perfect meal. And, I am the biggest procrastinator, and I know I just said this, but tomorrow I have so much shit to do. It's literally insane. And then I'm like, oh my God. And then it's Thanksgiving and the grocery stores are closed. And I'm looking in my fridge. I'm I have no food right now. I'm living alone. And I love it. And it's just, I get so sidetracked with everything else that I'm going through, with finding doctors and, dealing with insurance. And I've been getting really sidetracked with what I've been going through mentally, and I'm going to share more about that in a little bit because it's kind of heavy, and it's, I've been thinking about going into a higher level of care at some point, like a residential kind of program, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I just want you guys to treat Thanksgiving as if it is any other day. Things are closed, obviously, but this is, it's an opportunity to kind of focus on yourself, maybe watch a film or a show that you've been wanting to see for a while, or catch up on your latest show that you haven't been, or read that book, or listen to some podcast, or clean your apartment, or make art, or listen to music, or make music, or, there's so many things you can do. And I guess I'm talking to the population of people who are listening who feel like they have nobody, because if you have a lot of friends, if you have a lot of family, then Thanksgiving is fun, but if you don't have a lot of friends, if you're living alone, if you don't really have a solid group of friends, then Thanksgiving can just be this is kind of fucking, bleak and a little bit dark. And I just wanted to share with you guys a couple things that I do on Thanksgiving that really just make me feel good and just make me feel lit up, So I usually will do some rituals. I'll burn some sage, I will burn my candles, I will pull some tarot cards. I think last year I actually did an Instagram live Thanksgiving tarot reading. I think I did. Maybe I'll do that again. But I also I usually will buy a bunch of Christmas cards or holiday cards, and I will write them out on Thanksgiving because, there's really not much else to do outside of spending time with yourself doing something. Like, you can't go to the gym, you can't, go to the spa, you can't like go get a massage. Like, most of those things are closed. The malls are closed. So if you live in, nice weather, you can always walk around your city and look at Christmas lights, or go to the beach, or go to the lake or something. But if it's really cold, then obviously it's hard to do things outside. So, the Christmas card thing is always fun. I usually always call like my grandma, and I'll talk with her for a bit. If I'm in the mood, I'll like watch a Christmas movie or something that like something nostalgic. And sometimes nostalgia is not good. Sometimes nostalgia will trigger anxiety or depression. Last year, I was drinking at this point, and I haven't been drinking the last several months because of my autoimmune stuff, and drinking just makes me feel like shit. So there's really no point. Because when I eat so healthy, and like there's some days where I wake up in the morning and I literally am so swollen, so puffy. You would think I was hungover. Like, if you looked at me and you looked at my face, it's like I have swollen eyes, like I got punched in the face, swollen throat, So it's like my autoimmune disease basically makes me feel like every day I wake up, I'm hungover. So it's like, why make it even worse? So if you are struggling with autoimmune stuff and you're thinking about drinking, or you're sober and you're thinking about drinking, and you feel like a relapse is coming on, I want to say, please just think about the consequences that come from that, because it will make you feel like shit physically and emotionally and mentally. There are tons of free sober meetings online, and there's always meetings on Thanksgiving, always, because Thanksgiving is such a triggering holiday for alcoholics and addicts. So if you go to dharmarecovery.org, there are tons of meetings, and since everything is online now via Zoom, you can literally go to a meeting that is based out of like London or like Portland, and it tells you all the times. You just click whatever time zone you're in. Thanksgiving and Christmas, and this time of year, there are so many meetings, and it's like packed during this time of year too. I remember when I was living in Philly, and this is when I started getting into Dharma recovery meetings, which are like meditation and group kind of like therapy recovery talk. And it is a 12-step recovery program, but it's more spiritual based. So it's not the same as just going to AA. It is more mindful and more intellectual. And each meeting you have the opportunity to share. You meditate. Whoever's leading the group leads and guides a meditation for a few minutes. Sometimes it's like 20 minutes. It just depends on the meeting. And then usually every meeting there's some kind of like Dharma read. So like they will come prepared with a book that is spiritual based, mindful based, meditation based, and everybody gets to either listen, or everybody gets a chance to read a portion of it. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful way to stay sober and stay clean. And when I was in Philly, I was going to these meetings not just to stay sober, because staying sober for me was actually easier. I was going for my eating disorder, and there was people there for trauma and abuse and addiction and heroin and meth and whatever, alcoholism, sex addiction, everybody. And I went there to talk about my eating disorder and to talk about how it was getting bad, and how drugs and alcohol, it was a problem at one point. Like when I moved to Philly in 2019, I was definitely doing a lot of drugs, and it was really bad. And then after that, when I got clean, that's when my eating disorder started to rev up. So it's like catch-22. It's like one thing, you lower the volume of one thing and the other thing raises the volume. So if you are feeling like triggered and tempted this holiday season, I just want you to know there's options out there, and there are hotlines out there. And you know, if you just Google like help hotline or suicide hotline or mental health hotline, there are hotlines that are 24/7. And I know it's not the same as talking to a therapist who knows you and, you know, knows your whole situation, but that's why these hotlines exist, because if you need support and there's nobody in your life and it's fucking Thanksgiving and you're sitting at home by yourself with your cat and you want to go, you know, binge drink, or you want to go get drugs, or you want to go binge and purge, whatever your fucking choice of drug is, it's really challenging to get through those moments alone. So just know that there's support out there, and I want you to feel supported. And feel free to DM me on Instagram. I mean, I'm not a therapist, but if you just, if you need to DM me and just kind of ask like, hey, where can I go for this kind of support? Just like, let me know. For eating disorders, there's ANAD and there's EDF. Those two organizations are completely free, and they host free eating disorder groups. And the other one that I was mentioning is dharmarecovery.org. We're going to get into the sponsors real quick, and then we're going to be right back. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. You guys already know how obsessed I am with therapy. I talk about it all the time on this podcast, about how I have 2 therapists and how I go to therapy every single week. Well, I've been going to therapy for years, but once 2020 hit, the year of chaos for all of us, I really needed extra support. And BetterHelp has really been there to guide me through these chaotic times. I've been dealing with anxiety, depression, and I also have been in this recovery space for disordered eating and just a host of other issues. So BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. So all you have to do is you take a quick online quiz, you answer some questions about what you're going through, what kind of therapist you're looking for, and you can literally write in the answers, I am looking for this kind of therapist. I am looking for an expert in this field. That's what I did, and they matched me with a therapist who has tons of experience with eating disorders, trauma, and depression. And to be honest, I love my therapist so much. She's probably my favorite therapist I've ever had, and I've been through like a variety of therapists over the years. Me and her really hit it off, and even if you don't hit it off with your therapist right away, because let's be real, finding a therapist can honestly feel like you're dating, don't worry, you can always change therapists as many times as you need. No questions asked, no charge or anything like that. So you can always change your therapist and then get matched with a new one that day. So BetterHelp is not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It is literally professional counseling done securely online. And what I love about BetterHelp is that they have a journal feature. So if you're going through something challenging through the week and you don't have an appointment until, let's say, next week, you can write a journal entry. It's all online, it's secure, and if you'd like, you can share that journal entry with your therapist so that they are on the same page, they're caught up, they know exactly what you're going through, they know whatever triggers you've been dealing with over the week. And what's awesome about BetterHelp too is that your therapist will respond. So you can actually communicate with your therapist in between your sessions. So it's not like you only get to talk to your therapist once a week. You can check in with them frequently in between your sessions. You can catch them up to date. You can kind of communicate with them every day if you wanted to. And the online journal feature is really nice for folks who are new to journaling or just need that extra support. So communicating with your therapist more frequently could really benefit you if you're going through a rough time. BetterHelp is more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available if you are struggling right now. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. You can visit betterhelp.com/vibe. That's betterhelp.com/vibe. And you can join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. You deserve the support, you deserve the healing, and you are not alone. There are so many people who are struggling with severe anxiety, depression, trauma, all of these things, and you don't need to suffer in silence anymore. So visit betterhelp.com/vibe for a discount on your first month of online therapy. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/vibe. And that discount code will get you 10% off of your first month of online counseling at betterhelp.com/vibe. And we're back. I like how I say, and we'll be right back. Like, it's like this whole like team. It's really just me and Nar, my cat. Nobody else is here. Okay, so Thanksgiving. I'm wondering if you guys have any crazy Thanksgiving memories, but a couple memories that came up to mind for me was because somebody was asking me recently, like, I think I was on Reddit, and I'm on like a bunch of Reddit threads, and it's an eating disorder thread, but it's like people go there to vent. Oh my God, that's another thing, you guys. There are so many Reddit threads for people who are struggling. If you are like severely depressed, severely lonely, and you just need a place to like fucking vent and just type it out, go to Reddit and join the lonely subreddit thread. Sometimes a little bit depressing, but you get the opportunity to just vent and connect with people and offer advice. Reddit is a really great place to go for support as well. I mean, it doesn't take the place as going to therapy, but it is there in case you need to connect with like real people. So yeah, do that. Go on Reddit. The lonely thread, if you're really struggling, just like go and just vent it out. So anyways, I was on one of those Reddit threads, and one of the people who posted was like, do you even like Thanksgiving food? Like, can we all be honest here? Do you even like it? And I sat there and I was like, I really don't. And that's like not even an eating disorder thing. I don't eat turkey. I really like never was a fan of turkey growing up. And then like all the sides, like cranberry mush and green bean shit casserole and like fucking marshmallows and like potatoes, like it's just like such a weird fucking holiday. So that brought up this memory that I had from when I was like 8 years old, and I'm wondering if my dad even remembers this. But he brought me, I don't think it was Thanksgiving, but it was like around Thanksgiving. And so we went to the diner one night. My dad loves diners. And like, I remember we'd always go to this one diner in New Jersey. And I was really young. I was 8 or 9 or something like that. And I remember there was a special, Thanksgiving special. So I got like the turkey and the mashed potatoes and the gravy and the whole thing. And I remember that night I got really bad food poisoning, and I was like puking, and as a kid, this is ironic, because as a kid I was so deathly afraid of throwing up. I mean, it got to the point where I would have panic attacks, and I was a very anxious kid. I would have panic attacks, and I would be like, oh my God, Mom, I feel sick. Oh my God, am I going to throw up? Oh my God, am I going to throw up? Oh my God, I'm going to throw up. Oh my God. Because that uncertainty of like the throwing up, like it terrified me, because you didn't know when it was going to happen, and I felt so out of control. And I say it's ironic because in my late 20s or mid to late 20s, I developed a pretty severe bulimia where I was, you know what bulimia is, and it's like, it's just crazy how things happen like that. It's very funny to me, even though I know it's not funny, but to me it is, because I grew up, terrified of throwing up, and then I developed this really intense eating disorder and, couldn't stop throwing up. It's just fucking crazy. But that kind of ruined Thanksgiving foods for me, and I'm trying to think of, like, after that, like, ages like 10, 11, 12, 13, and I really do think that experience fucked it all up for me, because once I got to like 12, 13, and like in my teens, well, that's when I started to develop my first eating disorder, which was anorexia. But I just don't remember Thanksgivings. Like, I never, like, really, it wasn't a big deal for my family. Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, like, my family was more together, I guess, but then once my parents divorced, which was very messy, very traumatic, very non-adult-like, it was just really not good. So yeah, that fucked things up. And then I just remember, like, when I was in art school and in college, I don't know if you guys can relate, Thanksgiving was just like whatever. I remember I worked on Thanksgiving a couple times. Like, I worked at the bar, and then I was waitressing on one Thanksgiving. One Thanksgiving, me and my friend Sabina, we just kind of like went to the beach and just ate like sushi from Publix on the lifeguard stand. I mean, Thanksgiving in Fort Lauderdale was chill because everybody was like at the bars drinking. I'm pretty sure all the bars were still open on Thanksgiving. Fort Lauderdale is like so fucking ratchet. My whole college experience was just drunk the whole time. And then another memory of Thanksgiving is, this is before I got sober. This was, I think, I was 27. So, and I was visiting Philly. I was visiting my dad and my sister, and, that's where, like, my family lives. And, so this was years ago, and so I remember, and all my high school friends are from there too. So we all went out and, got super fucked up, drank a lot, and I remember I was out with my friend Gina, and I don't think Gina listens, but if she is, hello Gina. I'm sure you remember this. She left because she was probably drunk and probably wanted to go have sex with her boyfriend, and I stayed at the bar with these random guys. They were friends of hers, but I didn't really know them. One of them was a tattoo artist, or actually no, both of them were. And it's getting late, and I'm getting very drunk, and the bars are starting to close. This is the day before Thanksgiving. And so they're like, okay, let's go to this after hours place. So we went to this after hours place that you like needed a password for. And it's like, this is Philly. Why the fuck do you need passwords to get into these fucking shitty fucking bars? It wasn't even that nice. There was like arcade games in there. I think it was so funny how like they were trying to make things like exclusive in Philly, and it's like Fishtown, and it's like, there's like fucking shootings on the corner. This is not nice. So we did that, and we got drunk and whatever, and I don't remember much, but then I remember them saying, hey, I mean, now the after hours place is closing. Do you want to go to the studio and like we can do some tattoos and we have some blow? And I was like, all right. So we did end up going to the tattoo shop, and it's very ironic because this is when I was 27. 2 years later, when I was 29, I moved to Philly on a whim. And it just so happened that my house that I was renting a room from was like on the same street as this tattoo shop. So one day I was like walking by and I had like a flashback to this Thanksgiving, and I was like, oh my God, I'm living down the street from this tattoo shop. So I went to this tattoo shop with these random fucking guys, and the one dude tattooed the Om symbol on the inside of my arm. Very spiritual, right? Like, I'm drunk and on coke and like blacked out with two random dudes, and it's like 5 a.m. getting a tattoo of the Om symbol. I do like the tattoo. It's, you know, looks nice, whatever. And then after that, I think I went to Gina's house, and then I slept on her couch. We all woke up the next day, hungover as fuck.
What can you do if you wake up rested? Improve your overall health and performance with deep, restful sleep and app-controlled cooling technology by Chili Sleep. Enjoy uninterrupted and high-quality deep sleep that caters to your body's natural rest pattern. Chili Sleep helps you rest soundly beside your partner with temperature settings adjusted specifically for your side of the bed. Visit chilisleep.com/try. That's CHILISLEEP.com/TRY.
Finally, a bed that senses snoring and automatically responds. Meet the Ergo Smart Base from Tempur-Pedic, our first system that detects snoring, then automatically adjusts by raising the bed. Get your best sleep all night, every night. Now, save up to $500 on select adjustable mattress sets during the Tempur-Pedic Black Friday event. Get full offer details at TempurPedic.com.
And it was Thanksgiving, and I was still drunk the next day for sure. So I wasn't that hungover, but I knew it was going to hit me pretty quick. And my family, my dad's side of the family, the Jewish side of the family, they like to eat Thanksgiving dinner at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, I'm not even kidding. And it's always at the fucking diner. The same diner that I just talked about, where I got that Thanksgiving special when I was 8 years old and got sick. So this is my life. It's just that diner. My dad's obsessed with it. My grandmother's obsessed with that diner. It's not there anymore. It was the Crystal Lake Diner in New Jersey. I don't know what happened to it. I think it burnt down or something, but yeah, something weird happened. But now there's a new diner there. So, but Thanksgiving for my dad's side of the family has always been, let's go to a shitty diner or a fucking restaurant, and let's, you know, I always feel so bad when I would go to like a restaurant on Thanksgiving, because I know how it feels to be a server on that day, and it's like, oh my God, I fucking hate people. But, you know, as, you know, a waitress and a bartender of many years, I always try to like make their life super easy and like whatever. I don't even know if I ordered anything on this Thanksgiving. I was super hungover. My sister was looking at me like I was crazy. I probably looked insane. And then my grandmother, she's so cute. You know, she's always like, oh, you look gorgeous, honey. You look gorgeous. And she has like a New York accent, like very, very Brooklyn, Bronx. So she's like, you're gorgeous. Every year you just get more gorgeous. So that was my Thanksgiving when I was 27. And yeah, it was just really fucked up. Shouldn't have done that. Can't take it back. Whatever. Now I have a memory on my arm forever. So I'm wondering if you guys have any crazy Thanksgiving memories. Maybe I'll do a little. You can answer that question in my stories, and then I'll share them in my stories. I'd love to know any crazy memories. So definitely share. Let's see. I'm going through my notes right now. What else can you do on Thanksgiving? Well, yoga still happens. So I have taught yoga a handful of Thanksgivings. a few at Epic Hotel at Exhale, and then this year I'm teaching at Equinox. I'm teaching like a kind of like a workshop. It's going to be a restorative workshop, so it's going to be all about gratitude, all about healing, all about, you know, mental health. All of my classes are kind of like mental health based, but I usually like to thread in some kind of self-help, mental health thread in my restorative and yin classes especially. Something that I did recently that helped me, because I was going through a kind of, like I said before, a rough time mentally. I made a list of the magical mundane moments in my life. And basically this is just to get me out of my pity party, my life sucks, woe is me mindset. Because when I get in those places, I'm just like, I go to the worst case scenarios, and I go to the cognitive distortions of, you know, black and white thinking, the worst case scenario, nothing's gonna get better, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and once you get in that kind of headspace, it's really hard to get out. So what I did was I made a list of the magical mundane moments, and I invite you to do this because it helped me. And it's just these stupid little moments that help me kind of come back to reality. One of my magical mundane moments is sitting on the Metro Mover when I'm coming home or whatever, and on Reddit, you know, just scrolling on my phone, listening to a podcast. That's a magical mundane moment. I actually really enjoy sitting there. I like the commute. It doesn't take long. I'm on Reddit. I'm, you know, reading crazy shit or cool shit. Another one would be, you know, Christmas lights and candles and just setting up my apartment. Or another one would be a magical mundane moment of going to the gym and just sweating, going to the sauna, sweating, you know, listening to, oh my God, listening to podcasts is just so fucking healing. Recently, I listened to the Paul Bloom episode on the Sam Harris podcast. It's called the Making Sense podcast. And then the Peter Attia podcast, The Drive. It's called The Drive. If you haven't listened to that, Peter Attia he's a doctor, he's an MD. A lot of his episodes are about, you know, medical stuff like cancer, obesity, diabetes, insulin levels, ketosis, like all these things, digestion. But he had an episode recently with James Clear, who's the author of Atomic Habits, I believe, and it was so helpful. Like, especially today of all days, if you're listening to this on Thanksgiving and you are like, I just want drugs, I just want to drink, I just want to binge and purge, I just want to cut myself, or whatever it is. I just want to go to the strip club, or whatever it is. Listen to this podcast on the Drive, Peter Attia and James Clear. It's so fucking nourishing, and they talk about really how to get through and change our habits and change our mindset. And like, they talk about food a lot, they talk about eating, and they talk about body, they talk about cigarettes, they talk about all sorts of addictions and just the mindset and the psychology of it. And Peter Attia is an amazing smart man, and he asks the most brilliant questions, and it's like, just listen to it. It's fucking amazing. I'll try to remember to put it in the show notes, but sometimes I forget, and, you know, whatever. If you need to, just DM me. I'm gonna take a sip of this dirt water. Oh my God. It's so bad. So yeah, you could always do yoga. You could do yoga at home. There's so many free yoga things online, and I usually always have a sale during the entire holiday season because I know how hard it is for people. So if you need yoga classes or you need the meditation course of mine, you can go to my Etsy. and that is linked in the show notes. And all the classes, all the yoga classes are all $15 and under. I'm going to put those on sale. I'm probably going to do like a little sale on those, but those are all, you buy them once, you own them forever. So those are online classes, and it's everything from like power yoga to yin yoga to detox and cleanse yoga, which is really good for after Thanksgiving if you need a digestion boost. But and then there's the meditation course called Modern Meditations, which I made a couple years ago, and it is a correlation of like 8 meditations. So there's like over 8 hours of meditations, and they're all laced over binaural beats, and each meditation is geared towards something in particular, and it's all about healing, it's all about shadow work, it's all about really just coming into yourself and just being okay with yourself and finding the strength to just get through the fucking craziness of life and the uncertainty and the shit that's out of your control. So if you're interested in that and you need meditation in your life, there's that. It's on sale right now. You can use the code VIBEWITHIN. And yeah, a lot of people have said it's helped them. I wish I could make another one. I would like to in the future, but right now I just don't have the energy to. But those classes and those meditations are timeless. And the way that I teach, I mean, the yoga classes, that's exactly how I teach at Equinox. And like, what you see is what you get. And I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but like, I've been teaching for almost 9 years, so I really take pride in the way that I teach and the way that I guide my students. So you're going to get stronger from those classes. You're going to, release stress. You're going to manifest. If you're trying to lose weight, you'll lose weight. Like, my classes are for everyone, and some of them are, a little bit faster paced. Some of them have more cardio. Some of them have more strengthening. It's just whatever you're kind of looking for. So I want to kind of dovetail into what I was talking about earlier was, what I've been going through, and I'm not going to make this very long, but I have been thinking about, how suffering in silence is not cool. It's not cool. It's like drinking your own poison every day. And I just realized, like, going to therapy and figuring out all this physical health shit, it's hard. And I'm going to try to make this quick because I want to get into the next segment, which is Tinder shit, where I'm going to talk about some really weird and fucked up interactions that I've had on dating apps. So just bear with me. But if you are suffering in silence, asking for help is very courageous. And a couple weeks ago, I just started to realize, like, wow, I feel like I'm at a rock bottom. Like, I have good days and I have bad days, obviously. But the amount of bad days that I've been having outweigh the good days. And when I start to have panic attacks or these, like, big, heavy waves of depression, of, like, hating my body, of feeling hopeless, feeling helpless, feeling like I'm never going to meet anybody, feeling like I'm never going to date anybody, because, let's be honest, dating is so fucking insane. I mean, people who date, I'm like, are you insane? Like, are you crazy? I don't know. It's just, I feel like sometimes I get lost in these mental, these mentalities where I'm just like, the damage has been done. I'm never going to get, quote unquote, better. I'm never going to be normal. I'm never going to be happy enough to date. I'm never going to be able to work more, because there's so much I'd like to do with my life, and I feel like I'm not doing it. Yeah, I have the podcast. Yeah, I teach yoga. I teach 2 classes a week. It's literally nothing. And I don't think I could handle any more than that right now. And that's scary to me, because I used to teach 8-9 classes a week. I was making more money. I don't know. And I was also drinking and doing drugs though at that point. So maybe it was just like I was just covering up all of my emotions, and I was just numbing myself out with all of that, and I was just on autopilot. And now that I'm sober and I'm in, recovery from my eating disorder, and I am, trying to heal my Hashimoto's, and I don't take pills, and I don't drink, and I don't do drugs, it's like, whoa, this is like an open wound, Gab. This is like the wind blows and it makes me angry. It's like I'm so sensitive, and I think that's what comes with getting sober, and that's what comes with healing or recovering from any kind of disorder or mental illness or addiction. It's gonna come with feeling angry and disgusted and rage, and you're gonna want to self-harm, or you're gonna want to yell and scream, and you're gonna feel uncomfortable in your body, physically, emotionally. It's really, really hard. And recently I've been just thinking, like, there's just this thought in the back of my head that's like, what if it doesn't have to be like this? Like, what if I don't have to do this on my own anymore? Because sometimes therapy isn't enough. And that's why I'm thinking about going to see a psychiatrist, getting on medication, seeing how that makes me feel. I don't know, because in high school I was on like every kind of medication, so I'm like not so keen on the idea of doing it, because I already went through all of that, and it was a nightmare of a teenage childhood, from like age, I want to say like 13 to like 18. I was on like every kind of antidepressant, anti-anxiety, and it's like, I remember when I stopped taking one of them. I'm not going to say which one it is because I don't know if anybody's on it and I don't want to trigger anybody, but I stopped taking it, and I remember I would get these like seizures, and they were like these brain zaps that I felt like I was getting electrocuted. And this was when I was like 14, and all I remember is I could just lay in bed. I couldn't eat food. I was just eating like hard candies, and I remember like watching MTV music videos. And I'm like dating myself right now, but like this is like, and this is probably what teenagers are going through right now as well. I mean, mental health and suicide and eating disorders and addiction, and especially depression in teenagers and 20-somethings. I see it on Reddit all the time. I mean, there's people who post in these Reddit forums, and they're like, I'm 22, I'm a male, I've never had sex, I want to die, I want to fucking kill myself. And it's like, and there's so many of these posts, and it's like times have changed. There's so many 22 to 29-year-olds, even 30-year-olds in their 30s who are virgins. It's because things are different now. So what I'm trying to say is asking for help and asking for a higher level of care, if you can afford it, which I can't afford it, which is really stressing me out, and I'm trying to figure out what insurance companies do cover, like residential. If you don't know what residential is, it's basically like you go to this like program. It's like when people are trying to detox from drugs and they can't do it on their own, they go to a drug rehab. And some of them are really nice, like luxurious, I'm looking for like one that's kind of nice, like on the nicer end. Doesn't have to be like super, super luxurious, but it would be nice. And there is something called the Affordable Health Care Act, which means most insurance companies that if you have an insurance and you pay for it monthly, there has to be some kind of mental health services that they offer. So it's hard to figure shit out, but if you do have insurance, you can always just call them and ask them what kind of therapists and psychiatrists, or if you need inpatient, or if you need some kind of like substance abuse treatment. It's interesting because I mean, I've been on the phone with some places the last week or so, and insurance companies are more prone to accepting to pay for the treatment of like a detox and a drug rehab rather than just a mental health rehab. So, you know, wherever you live, whatever state you live in, there are programs, there are mental health resources, there's free support groups, there's mental health services for low-income people at the hospitals. That's part of the Affordable Health Care Act. But for me, I was thinking that it would be beneficial if things start to get worse and worse for me mentally with my depression and my just everything, to go to like a 30-day kind of program that it's like hitting the reset button, and it's like you get the care that you need, you talk to specialists, you do EMDR, you do trauma work, you do trauma therapy, group therapy, art therapy. It's like an intensive mental health program, you know, for 30 days. And, you know, it's a last resort, obviously, but this thought has kind of been in my head for a while. I just haven't really said anything. But I like to be completely honest with you guys, because I feel like that's what you come here for. Like, you know, I get a lot of messages from you guys saying, like, when I'm listening to your podcast, it just feels like I'm hanging out with you. It feels like I'm just, you know, talking with my friend and we're just shooting the shit. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty much what this is. I'm very lonely. I don't have that many, like, deep, solid friends here. I have a lot of acquaintances, but I live a very isolated life still, and I think that that's because of my depression and my mental health stuff. So I mean, and not everybody can afford going to treatment, whether it's for drug use or mental health stuff, but there are options out there, and I'm sharing that here because, and I don't think I would share that on my Instagram, because honestly, I feel like I trust you guys, like the people who listen to my podcast. I feel like I have a special connection with, and I don't mind sharing these things with you. But I'm not going to go and broadcast this and text my quote unquote friends who like really aren't my friends. You know, there's probably only a couple people I would tell in real life that I was even thinking about this. And to be honest, if I went to a 30-day program, I could probably just get away with not telling anybody and nobody would even notice, because that's how often I hang out with people. Never. People don't really ask me to hang out with them. And I don't know if it's because I share so much, or if they just think like, oh, she's just like focusing on herself and she's like so spiritual and she's probably teaching yoga, or she's probably like, you know, at home like burning sage, or like, you know, like she doesn't go to bars, she doesn't drink, like, you know. And it's like, damn, like that's like really shitty, because I'm sure there's so many people who are in that position where they like would like to hang out with people, but they just aren't getting asked to hang out anymore. It's bullshit, but there are options out there. I just wanted you guys to know that suffering in silence is not cool, and you deserve healing. I'm going to take another sip of this dirt water, and then let's get into Tinder Shit, which is a new segment. Hold on one second. I'm going to take a sip. Tinder Shit. So, I'm going to share some conversations that I have had with motherfuckers on Tinder. Let's go, shall we? Okay. So this guy is actually from Hinge, and he messaged me, let's get a relaxing dinner tomorrow. And I said, no thank you, I'm focusing on myself and not dating right now. Good luck to you. He said, your Hinge profile suggests otherwise. Good luck to you also. I said, there's plenty of people who have Hinge profiles but are taking a break from dating. Smiley face. I'm also not a fan of gaslighting. Because, guys, that is a form of gaslighting. He said, your profile literally specifies the type of guy you're looking to date. I said, doesn't mean people aren't allowed to take breaks. Smiley face. Also, if you think arguing with a girl about what she wants or doesn't want over Hinge is cute, it's not. Super lame, dude. He says, and yet you desperately continue the argument in an effort to prove yourself right. That's really lame. Good luck to you. I said, defending myself to a loser Hinge dude isn't quite the same as argument. Grow the fuck up. Good luck finding a girl who will deal with your gaslighting, toxic masculinity bullshit. And then I waited. Listen to this. Because on Hinge, you don't know if they've seen it or not. So I sat there and I waited for this motherfucker to see my message and to start typing. And then I blocked him or unmatched him or whatever. So yeah. Women, do that. Just do that. They need to see the message first. Okay. Next. This guy said, he was commenting on one of my photos, and I said, this was taken at a wedding. He said, LOL, I'm not surprised. What's your ethnicity specifically? This is literally the first question this guy has asked me. What's your ethnicity specifically? I said, weird, smiley face, confused face, why? And he said, because I'm trying to get to know you. And I said, that's probably the least get to know you question you could ask. There's a million other things you could ask that don't have to do with ethnicity or race or religion. And then I think he freaked out. I didn't screenshot it, but I should have. And then he probably unmatched me. Okay, next. This guy is, what's his name? His name is Frab. So Frab was from Tinder, and he looks like such a fucking douchebag, but the fact that he is an EMT and a firefighter, I gave him a chance. I swiped on him. The first thing that Frab says to me, this would never work because Frab and Gab, that's not gonna work. But the first thing that he says to me is, wear leggings and come over. No period or anything, just wear leggings and come over. And I said, is that a pickup line? I'm concerned. He said, it's the truth. I said, explain. He says, I want you to wear spandex leggings, flat sandals, and come over. I said, leggings, sure, but flat sandals are whack. I'm more of a Vans or Docs kind of girl. Then the next day happens and he says, what you doing now? No question mark. That is such a fucking horrible grammar sentence. Then he said, wear them tomorrow and come over. I said, wow. Did I, where's the rest of this conversation? Okay, I said, wow. He said, what you mean, wow? It sounds like he's a fucking, caveman. What you doing now? Wear them tomorrow and come over. What you mean, wow? Come today. He literally said, come today. This is at 3:45 in the afternoon on yesterday. I said, no thanks. We haven't even had a conversation. The fact that you think I'm just going to drop my life and go to some random Tinder dude's place is wild to me. That's unfortunate. That's what you're expecting and super weird, to be honest. And then I unmatched him. Or no, he unmatched me. I'm really glad that I took those screenshots. Anyways, that was Tinder shit. If you enjoyed that segment, let me know and I will share more of the Tinder shit that I go through. Also, if you have any Tinder shit moments and you want to screenshot them and DM me, you can. Doesn't mean I'm going to get to every single one of them, but feel free to share. So yeah, you could kind of get why I don't want to date. I definitely have some intimacy blockages, and that definitely has to do with, depression, anxiety, trauma, past relationships, I do not have a good track record of relationships. I think you guys know that by now because you've been listening to the podcast. And if you are new to the podcast, yeah, I just been through a lot of fucking weird relationships, situationships, hookups, ghosting, whatever. So I really hope this episode helped you guys. If you're feeling like you need extra support, get some. Go to a group, an online group, go to Reddit, get a therapist, go to BetterHelp, get a therapist, use the code VIBE, betterhelp.com/vibe. If you have insurance, there are definitely therapists that are covered by your insurance. One of my therapists is covered completely by my insurance. I don't pay a fucking dime because I pay my monthly insurance. If you don't have insurance and you need to get it, the deadline to get health insurance is, I think, December 15th. And if you just go to healthcare.gov, that is the healthcare marketplace where you make an account, you put in all your information, you put in how much money you make, you put in your information, your jobs, your whatever, and then they show you what health insurances you qualify for based on how much money you make. So if you don't make a lot of money, you might be able to get Medicaid. There's options. There's also, I remember when I was like so poor and this is when I was also living in Miami. This was in like 2017, 2018. My friend said to me, "Oh, you don't have health insurance?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Oh, well, I applied to have health coverage through Jackson Hospital, which is a local hospital here. And what you do is you go in, you show them your pay stubs, you have to sign some paperwork, and if you prove to them that you're low income and you show them, hey, this is how much money I make, these are my pay stubs, like, do something about it, help me," they will offer you health care as long as you go to that hospital and you go to the doctors within that hospital, you go to the specialists within that hospital. It's all free. Free. So this came in handy, and I feel like my spirit guides were helping me during this time, because when I had that Jackson Health Care low income poor girl insurance, that's the year that I broke my arm. Ironic, in a good way, right? So I got surgery, and I am in a little bit of debt from that because not the whole surgery wasn't covered, but it was way cheaper than it would be, and so that's also an option. If you live in a major city, I think most hospitals have programs like this for low-income people if they want to do that. So check it out. It's worth a shot, Most of these hospitals have amazing doctors in them. I personally hate hospitals, but I did it, and whenever I needed to go to the doctor for labs or for thyroid or for whatever, I went. It was good. It worked out. But everybody should get health insurance. You never know when you're going to need it, and especially if you're dealing with mental health issues. Every health insurance has to cover something, even if it's the bare minimum, And if you don't have health insurance, then get BetterHelp, because BetterHelp is actually cheaper than most health insurance, Some health insurance is like $300 a month. It's like BetterHelp is like way cheaper than that, and you get a session a week, and then you also can communicate with your therapist through the messaging and through the journaling. And I talk to my therapist every day through the messaging because she's helping me go through a very, very rough time in my life. She's like a mother figure to me, and she's helping me through it all, the physical, the mental. She's trying to help me find a psychiatrist now. It's like, these people want to help. This is what they're here for. And a lot of therapists are experts in things. Like, my therapist is a registered nurse, so she really is an expert in health and wellness, and, you know, she worked in hospitals and she's taught nurses how to be nurses. So that's my spiel. I really hope that you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving. Do whatever you need to do. Take a bath, watch a movie, make a cup of coffee or make a cup of tea that's really good to you, buy some candles. Thanksgiving doesn't have to be injected with this whole, you know, oh, I'm not spending time with people, or I'm a loser, I'm all alone. Fuck it. We are going through such a wild transformation as a collective and as a society itself. There's so many people. I think there is a statistic. This is the last thing I'll say. There was a statistic that I heard on a podcast recently that said 45% of Americans said that they would rather not celebrate the holidays this year. So let's just all be Grinches together and focus on ourselves and focus on our mental health and get well. And this is just another day, right? I hope that you guys have an amazing day, night, and we will connect soon.
Here's to getting back together, to planned lunches and unplanned cookouts, to grandma's recipes and smells that take us back, to passing down plates and traditions. Here's to warm embraces and familiar faces, to your best friends becoming best friends, to scheming, dreaming, and food still steaming. Here's to laughter and love, to growing closer than ever. For all of life's get-togethers, Chinette, here's to us.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, with 24/7 support and experienced staff at over 250 local branches. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.